Hello and welcome to This Week in James City County. I'm your host, Renee Dahlman. Today I am once again joined by Jim Icenhour. Mr. Icenhour is the Board of Supervisors representative for the Jamestown district and is also the current vice chairman of the Board of Supervisors. Welcome.
Thank you.
And it's easy for me to remember the Jamestown district because you're my Board of Supervisors member.
That's right. You live right around the corner.
I do. Well, I know that it has been a very busy couple of months, couple of years, it seems,
Yep.
here in James City County. And I know that there are a couple of things that are definitely on the forefront. And the first one would probably be what's in a lot of people's mind is the school situation and where we are with the contract and the partnership with the City of Williamsburg and James City County. So would you like to catch us up on where we are on that right now?
Yes, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version if I can. Essentially, with the city doing its study, and they got their study back, and they've had a chance to take a look at it, and they've had citizen input. Unfortunately, what we haven't had following that is a decision by the city one way or the other. Okay. And initially, when this study was going on, we had discussions back and forth. I met with several of my counterparts on city council, and tried to stress the urgency of trying to look at all the options on the table, because right now we have our proposal that says we're going to go ahead and start the separation. That wouldn't take effect for at least another year. But we are keeping our minds open about trying to keep the school system together. And let me say right from the outset that my personal opinion is that I think both the city and the county, and definitely all of the students, are better served by staying in a joint school district. Whatever the problems are that we have that we need to address, I think we can address them better if we work together. And that's been my frustration in this process, is that after having spoken to several of my counterparts over there, the city manager and the county administrator signed an agreement that basically said that they would give us an answer by the end of the school year, and that if we were going to separate, the separation wouldn't occur until 2028, because both jurisdictions, if a separation occurs, both jurisdictions are going to need that time to make sure they have the facilities to accommodate the students properly. For us, it means probably a new middle school. For them, it means structuring or reconfiguring some of their buildings. So unfortunately, that's not that's sort of a statement of intent, if you will. It's not like a contract or a legally binding document. We haven't gotten the answer that we were looking for by the end of the year. And I know that they have sent a letter expressing some of their concerns about the performance of the city children to the superintendent, and I'm sure that the superintendent and school board will take a look at it and respond to them. So we're sort of in a waiting pattern right now. And I think that we're going to get our briefing from our consultant tonight, in fact. And bottom line on it is that if the separation does go through, if both the jurisdictions decide they do want to separate, and my approach is, if the city wants to separate, we're not going to contest it. I'm not, at least. But I think it needs to be mutually agreeable for whatever we decide to do. But if they do decide that they want to separate, there are a lot of hurdles. That this is uncharted ground. Nobody's ever done this before. We believe that it would take a positive vote of both governing bodies. It would probably take a positive vote of the school board to initiate the separation. But then when it gets to the state level, we have no idea what's going to happen. There's no precedent. There's no protocol. I'm sure it would have to go through the Board of Education. I'm sure our legislators would get involved. So there's so much that's just unknown out there that we are having to try to plan for, and that's where we are right now. So I wanted to make sure that if I could try to give people an update so that they did know that things are going on. We are trying to talk behind the scenes. We're trying to get, I think, some sort of an agreement. but we're not there yet.
Okay. Well, and to be fair, I'm going to try to get this podcast turned around and on air as soon as I can.
Okay.
But graduation is not until Saturday.
Yep.
So, it could be
We still
said
have
that the
time.
end of the school year has not arrived.
Yeah. Never say never.
Never say never. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I definitely appreciate the update on that. I know that
Sure.
it's been confusing, and just hearing what you've said about it needing to go to Richmond then and everything that has to happen there. This is a big deal, and it
It
is something
is.
that a lot of people are taking very seriously.
It is. It is a huge deal, and it will have a tremendous impact on everyone in the community. So I think
Absolutely.
everyone needs to stay tuned and be involved. Send their 2 cents in to all the legislators and both at the county and the city and at the state, so that they know we need to hear what you think. And what I'm hearing from most folks is that they think it's better to stay together.
Well, and a good reminder for parents and kids out there, this will not happen in the fall.
No.
This is not until 2028, correct? Is the most recent?
I think both jurisdictions are very clear on that. We're not going to inflict really grievous wounds on each other over this. I think that if we do decide to separate, I think both jurisdictions are going to take into consideration the welfare of the children, their education, the facilities we have for them. And those are things that would draw this out over a length of time for us.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of other big deals that are happening, we are right now looking at a proposed new government center. So can you give us an update on where the county is on that right now?
We are in the process of looking at the design, what it would take to put on there. And I think we expect something back incrementally as we go through this for the board to take a look. We've all been interviewed as board members. I think all our staff members have been interviewed. I know we've had several of our community meetings. In fact, I've got right here on my desk, I've got a bunch of cards that from the county QR code that was given by the assistant county administrator, Brad Reinheimer. And I hand these out to people, and you can go to the QR code and put your 2 cents in. We do want to hear from the public about it. I think for perspective, I would say this is not a sudden whim on the part of the board. This was part of a concerted study to take a look at how do we have the facilities, do we have the space to accommodate the people to provide the service that our county residents need. And we did this study looking at it over the long term. And what we have is a conglomeration of buildings that are scattered throughout the county, many of which are many, many years old. Some of them date back to the 70s. And those buildings, in one case, some cases would need expansion to accommodate people, or they would need capital maintenance, air conditioning, roofs, stuff like that. It's fairly expensive. So we looked at the study in 2 phases. One is if we stayed in what we have right now and just tried to expand or maintain or upgrade those facilities in order to accommodate the people we need to serve the community, how much would that cost? And how much would that cost over the long term? And we were looking at, I think, at a 20 year plus lifespan on it. So, and then we said, what are the advantages of trying to consolidate and getting rid of some of the older buildings and consolidating our workforce into a more central location where there are some efficiencies of being able to work across, in the same building with other people, as opposed to having to get in a car and drive 5 or 6 miles to have a meeting with somebody in a different division. And we found that the cost of doing that in the long term is approximately the same as it would be going the other way. So we felt it was better to try to do the consolidation. The problem right now, of course, is it's a big price tag. And what's causing my concern is until we have the school situation resolved, we don't know how much it's going to cost to build a new middle school, and that may push out the county complex a little bit because that's a lower priority than accommodating our school children. But depending on how the situation resolves itself, we could be building that in fairly short order. I think that I think it will be a benefit. The amount of gas we use in our county vehicles for running around for meetings and stuff like that. And they estimate that the usage on vehicles and gas price costs could go down by as much as 30–40%. So there are some inherent savings in that. So,
Well, one point of contention I have is that you said that some of the buildings at the government center are really old, go back to the 70s. I would like to argue that the 70s was not that long ago. So,
so would I. So would I.
sorry, I couldn't let that go.
I know.
But you are absolutely right. I mean, when was the last brand new? I know that we've had a new fire station.
Yes.
And I know that the new building F that was new back in the day, that's been
20 years or more.
right. And the law enforcement center. So this is
since I've been on the board in I came on the board in 2006. And since then, we built the law enforcement center, which was really badly needed. We built a new, I think a new fire station, or renovated a fire. I know Station 4 has been completely renovated. We've done some of those things. What people don't forget was that at one time in 2 years we built three schools. So there was a lot of building, but a lot of it is concerned with the schools. We really haven't done that much for county offices, and that's where the one that's underway right now that is probably most sorely needed is general services. So we're trying to get that one done. But the next in line would be the county complex.
For sure. Well, and then part of the reason why we need all of these things and the schools for sure is about growth, that there has been a great amount of growth, especially in your tenure on the Board of Supervisors. Where are we right now in terms of growth? Are there other projects that we're working on? What are we doing with growth?
We're still sort of same old, I would say. When I moved here, I moved up here in 1994 from the Lower Peninsula. So it's been 30 years. And when I moved here, it was about 42,000 people in the county. We're over 80,000 now. And I tell people when I moved here, 199 ended at Route 5, didn't go all the way through. Monticello ended at Ironbound. There was nothing out there but an open field. And I can talk about all the things that have, but the growth has been phenomenal, and we've literally doubled in size. The problem is that we have new proposals constantly coming before us. We're going to expect to see some on the Eastern State property. There's some others that will be, and the developers will want to put a lot more housing in. And the litmus test that I always look at is what is the impact on the people who are living here and will have to pay the bill? Because if new growth paid for itself, it wouldn't be quite as much of an issue, but it doesn't. It never does. The growth eventually puts more and more burden on the folks who are here. So I look at it as what's the advantage? What's the benefit for the citizens that are here? And one of the frustrations that the people have is that they say, well, if you haven't improved anything in a while, why did the building keep going on? Well, we have previous boards, and all the things that can be built by right or the previous approvals that haven't been built yet. For example, up at Stonehouse, there are probably another 1,500 houses that they're authorized that haven't been built yet. That's approved. We can't stop that. We can stop by not allowing maybe new ones to be added. But I tell people if we quit approving new projects, nothing would change probably for about 10 or 15 years because the inventory of buildable lots is still there. That building is still going to keep going and growth will still keep coming. So it's sort of inevitable. We try to do the best we can to control it, but we're sort of victims of the circumstance right now. We try to make what happens, try to maintain the character of our community because that's really important to our citizens.
Absolutely. Well, and you make a really good point because it does, I'm sure, feel to citizens, just like you've said, that you all agree, you approve something, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's going to be built. And that's not how it works at all.
There are many times that we approve something that never gets built. There was one that was approved right off of part of Ford's Colony, a CCRC, way back 15 years ago, and the recession came along and it never got built, and so then it got turned over to somebody else, and so some of these things get recycled many times. Sometimes it just takes 15-20 years before something actually gets started. We've been building in Ford's Colony. I've been here for 30 years, and we're almost, but not quite built out. There are still some lots that are still being built on, the last few. And when that happens, growth will probably move north in the county because it's going to be up in that area where it'll grow.
Right. Like you said, Stonehouse still has about 1,500.
Stonehouse is the biggie. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and now with the great expansion of 64 getting wider, it's made a huge difference for people on where they want to live and how convenient it is for them to get to work too. But that's a tangent.
And we have a lot of people who live in this community that commute to the Lower Peninsula or to Richmond. I tell people, if you really want to see the nature of the community, go stand by the interstate interchange in the morning or the afternoon and watch all the people who live here getting on the interstate going to work, and all the people who work here coming in from outside. So that's a lot of traffic.
Absolutely. And it's better now than it used to be, but it's still not perfect, but we're working on it.
I don't mind driving to the Lower Peninsula quite as much now as I used to, because before they put that other lane in, it was just impossible. So
yes, I agree completely.
Yeah.
Well, so we've covered 3 pretty big topics. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about before we wrap up?
Well, I know we at the meetings that I've been in at there were 2 other issues that came up that I'll just touch lightly on. One was the budget, and I know that we wound up with sort of a compromise. We didn't cut the tax rate, but we did give a pretty substantial rebate on it, so it softens the blow, because there's a lot of I tell people that a lot of things happened during COVID. One is the county got sort of shut down to a minimum operation. A lot of things didn't get done. We had a lot of turnover of people, and trying to build that back up. We're competing with everybody else for people, as you know. So we teachers and are one, but we're talking about folks that work for Service Authority, our police, our fire, our county staff. It's really important that we invest in them, and that's one of the things we did in this budget. We made an investment. It's paid off for us when we did the increases and pay and benefits for fire and police, because where we had really critical shortages, now we're back approaching almost full. So it's been beneficial. I think it's helpful. So that's one of the things I think people were concerned about. We had pretty good participation at the city at the budget meetings throughout the county, but I just wanted to touch on that. And I think the other question I had people asked me about was the sports facility, and because they know it was contentious and it was a split vote. And I tell folks, it's a done deal. I think some people are saying, are we going to be able to undo it? It's a done deal. And I voted against it, but my fervent hope is that now that it's been approved, that it's successful. That I hope is very successful. I had concerns about some things, but you don't win all the votes. So, but it will be starting up very quickly. I think they're going to start construction. If they haven't already, they're going to start construction very quickly, and we will see what it brings to our community. It will be a facility that some of our citizens will have the opportunity to use, so that will be of some benefit to us.
Absolutely. It is a time of growth.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
All right. Well, anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it. So
all right.
I appreciate the opportunity to come on and chat a little bit.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. Again, I know that you have a meeting very shortly, and then you have a Board of Supervisors meeting.
Supervisors meeting this evening.
Yep. Busy, busy times.
I'll
So
probably be hanging around pretty late tonight. So,
maybe. Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, once again, thank you so much, Mr. Icenhour.
all right. Thank you, Renee. Appreciate it.
Well, that wraps up this episode of This Week in James City County. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, please be sure to subscribe. That way you will never miss an episode. And we have a website, jamescitycountyva.gov/podcast. And on there, you'll find all of our shows as well as a form that you can complete, give us comments, critiques. We would love to hear from you. And if you missed the QR code, stay tuned to the end of this episode, and we will have the QR code available for any comments on the proposed government center. So, and again, thank you very much for bringing that up, Mr. Icenhour. All right, so that wraps it up, and we will talk with y'all next week.